In short, ladies and gentlemen of the board, costs are down, revenues are up, and our stock has never been higher.
Well, first off, I want to arrive in a big black car, you know, just like the Russians. Ticket sales are through the roof. 1,000 people are paying $5 a piece just to see me play.
The board expects your resignation in 30 days.
What? You.
You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Hello Spider-Man fans, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. If you're anything like me, after watching Spider-Man No Way Home, you just want to know the next time you can dive into that world of Spider-Man. Even if that means it's a solo movie that doesn't even include Spider-Man, but maybe they put a little post-credit scene in there to tease Spider-Man, only for them to make a Spider-Man movie where they get rid of that post-credit scene. Being a Spider-Man fan is crazy. So that kind of gave me the idea to go ahead and list off every single Sony Spider-Man universe movie that is currently in the works. I'll be going through every movie that's been announced, confirmed to be coming out with a release date, director, actors attached, and even ones that have been rumored and whether we think they're actually going to happen. But I'm gonna need you Spider-Man fans to give me your opinions down below. How do you feel about Sony just really trying to stretch out the Spider-Man character? Is it something you've gotten used to? Which project are you mainly excited about? And which one do you think, oh hell no, I'm not watching that no matter what. All right, so as we dive into the list, guys, I want to remind you, Sony is a weird little company. So even though a lot of these movies have been announced, even have directors, writers, actors attached, there's still a good chance they might not even happen. And then some of these rumored movies can take forever to actually get on the big screen. Don't forget, a solo Venom movie was first announced in 2007, and then it took them all the way to 2018 before they finally put that puppy on screen. And don't even let me take you to the flashbacks where the Sony emails leaked and they were seriously considering an Aunt May solo movie. Honestly, I think we were still robbed of that one. All right, so first one on the list here is one that is coming up right next month, and that is Morbius. Now, Morbius was a character I never really thought would get the big screen adaptation just because I thought he was a little different compared to all the other rogues gallery in Spider-Man's lineup. The half-human, half-vampire hybrid casted Jared Leto, and honestly, the main reason I'm excited for this movie is for them to just explain their messy multiverse that they have set up here. Because if you're someone who has seen the Jared Leto trailers, you know that there are hints to all three Spider-Men in this movie, with the Oscorp Tower of Andrew Garfield, the Daily Bugle logo of Tobey Maguire, but a main villain for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, the Vulture, set photos showing us where is Spider-Man, letting us know that there is a Spider-Man in the Sony universe. I want to see this movie more for the answers and what it is setting up for the future than the character itself, just being honest. The next Spider-Man movie we have on the list here, we recently just got a little teaser trailer for, and that is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, even though a lot of people did not show up to the theater for the first animated Spider-Man movie, boy was it well loved by almost everyone who saw that movie, to the point the first film won an Oscar. So it was no secret why now they attempted to do a sequel that I think a lot of people will be showing up for now that Miles Morales has become more of a mainstream character. Plus, who's not excited to see all the different universes of Spider-Man out there? And we know this first movie is going to end on some sort of big cliffhanger because they already announced a part 2 is coming our way. Next movie confirmed on the list that is actually happening here is the Kraven the Hunter movie that is set to release in 2023. Sony went ahead and got director J.C. Chandler and casted Aaron Taylor Johnson, once known as Quicksilver or Kick-Ass, to play Kraven the Hunter in their Sony Solo universe. This is one of the things that always gets me a little trippy about these solo Spider-Man movies, because usually it meant if they're making a solo Spider-Man movie that Sony is in control of and putting it in their universe, it's a kind of slim chance that we'll see Kraven the Hunter show up in a Tom Holland movie, and I've always wanted to see Kraven and Spider-Man fight each other. Of course, anything is possible now, and we could very likely see Kraven the Hunter go fight Spider-Man Tom Holland, but I would not be surprised if Kraven the Hunter instead is more interested in Venom, since he's a character we know exists in his Sony universe, and that's the way the movie will go down. This is a character I'm curious to see if the general public will show up to. Venom, of course, I knew was going to make tons of money because every Spider-Man fan knows Venom, but does a lot of the general public want to go see a guy dressed in a lion outfit shoot up some other type of villain that's more evil than him. Moving on to Spider-Man projects that have been announced with actual writers and directors attached, we just have no idea when or if they're actually going to be coming out on the big screen. One of the first ones here that probably shocked all of us is a Madam Web movie. Announced almost 2 years ago, Collider reported that they hired the Morbius writers to go ahead and make a script for a solo Madam Web movie, where IGN even reports that S.J. Clarkson is attached to direct the project. And luckily, Madam Web was a character I recognized thanks to the 90s Spider-Man animated series, where she was even voiced by the wife of Stan Lee. But she's basically a clairvoyant mutant connected to a life support system in the shape of a spider web. She's mainly a psychic that would go ahead and assist Spider-Man in his adventures from time to time, has even been an in-between point for some multiverse jumping. There are different incarnations of Madam Web, one where she passes on her powers to a second Madam Web that is much younger and able to move around. This would be a character I'd have to read the plot synopsis and understand what the heck they're doing with this movie, but since it's been 2 years since its announcement and no progress has been made, I wonder if it's even happening. The next movie that was announced back in August of 2020 is Deadline went ahead and broke the news that Olivia Wilde is set to direct and develop a female-centric Marvel film, with us later finding out that that female-centric Marvel film is none other than Spider-Woman. It's said that she would be adapting the Jessica Drew version of Spider-Woman. Olivia Wilde even took to social media to confirm that she is attached to this project. To me, I think it's only a matter of time before we get a female-centric live-action Spider-Man movie. I wouldn't mind if Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman is one of the first ones, but I feel like there's other on this list that I'm way more excited for. Another female-centric Spider-Man movie that is in the works that I'm like, really? Why give this character a movie is Jackpot. Reported in May of 2020, Mark Guggenheim, who is a writer for the Arrow TV series, was hired by Sony to go ahead and write this Jackpot movie. Now, Jackpot wasn't a character I was too familiar with, so I definitely had to do some research whenever this movie was announced, and I really don't see the hoofla to give her own movie. Basically, she was a single mother who was pregnant and doing some research with mutant genes, accidentally injecting herself with that, granting her superhuman abilities, the basic package: strength, durability, speed, and every now and then she would just come in contact with Spider-Man and help him throughout these missions. It doesn't really seem like there's a lot there to be turned into a movie, but then again, a lot of the times with these lesser known comic book writers, they could just change them wildly and make them way more interesting, so we'll see if this movie pans out. Another one that was announced and basically confirmed by Kevin Feige himself is Spider-Man 4, or you could really say Spider-Man 4 through 6, the next trilogy. Kevin Feige already went ahead and confirmed to fans that they are currently in development with the fourth Spider-Man movie, where Kevin Feige went ahead and said exactly, Amy and I and Disney and Sony are talking about, yes, we're actively beginning to develop where the story heads next, which I only say outright because I don't want fans to go through any separation trauma like what happened after Far From Home. Amy Pascal, producer with the Spider-Man movies, went ahead and touched a little further on what we could expect with the fourth film or this trilogy, saying, not every single Spider-Man movie is going to be a multitude of characters. The approach was right for this one. You can't think about topping yourself in terms of spectacle, otherwise movies just get larger and larger for no reason, and it's not a good result. But we do want to try and top ourselves in terms of quality and emotion. Basically saying there, Spider-Man 4 will happen. It won't necessarily involve spider people like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and I'm actually perfectly fine with that because I really like where they ended things for Spider-Man No Way Home, where I kind of want to see this broken alone Peter Parker fight crime and finally be his own character. But you gotta admit, with the next trilogy, what are they leading up towards that would go ahead and eventually top Tobey and Andrew showing up? That's where my mind is, like, finally do a Sinister Six movie with Tom Holland himself, and if not, I'm very excited to see how they do their version of the symbiote storyline with Tom Holland. The next movie we know for sure is happening, even if there has not been a full confirmation, is Venom 3. Now, everybody was hoping Venom 3 would turn out to be the Spider-Man versus Venom movie that they were setting up at the end of Venom 2. But then with the way Spider-Man No Way Home ended, it seems like we might not be getting that Venom vs. Spider-Man movie, and instead, we'll just catch Venom continuing on his adventures in his own universe, where they did kind of set up the next villain of Toxin. There's gonna be some conflict there, and we could see a full trilogy where Venom just fights different versions of symbiotes over and over. I'm really hoping that Sony is listening to the fans and they just throw Andrew Garfield in there and give us the Venom vs. Spider-Man movie we've been wanting to see. This is where we move on to just the rumored movies that scoopers and leakers have gone ahead and say is happening, so take these with a grain of salt since they weren't officially reported by news outlets. Starting off, basically, if you're one of the main rogues gallery villains of Spider-Man, you're probably getting your own solo movie, dude. Before Spider-Man No Way Home came out, Scooper Daniel Richmond, who had been the one to give us a lot of information concerning upcoming Marvel trailers and information that would turn out right most of the time, is saying that Sony is seriously considering a solo movie with Sandman and Rhino. I don't mean that together, I just mean they would separately get their own movies, and I'm like, you know what? I would kind of see that. Especially the Sandman story. We saw what they did in Spider-Man 3, where he's just a bad guy trying to earn some money for his sick daughter, and you could honestly call him an anti-hero. With Rhino, I'm even a little interested in that character, because that's someone, if they go with the comic version, who gets stuck in this giant rhino suit that can't find his way out, so of course he's going to become angry and violent to the point where he just wants ultimate destruction since he can't escape this suit. The main problem I have with these villain movies is just who is the villain of the villain film, and are they going to be as interesting as not having Spider-Man there? The other one that was reported here from a separate source of Murphy's Multiverse, who was the first one to report that Charlie Cox would show up as Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home. He got that right. He's going ahead and reporting that Sony had a little clause in the contract of Jamie Foxx that if Spider-Man No Way Home made a certain amount of money, they could go ahead and give him a solo movie. The film made $1 billion, so I assume they met that mark, and now are seriously considering giving Jamie Foxx his own Electro movie. Timeline-wise, I'm just curious to when that is happening. Is it before the events of Spider-Man No Way Home? Is it after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home? Because if it is, the boy lost his powers by the end of that movie. When he goes back to his universe, is he just gonna jump into another vat of eels? And my main problem again, who will be the villain for this villain? The only explanation we got for why all these separate villains are getting their solo movies is because back in 2018, Amy Pascal, the producer with the Spider-Man movies, went ahead and confirmed that they still go ahead and want to do a solo Sinister Six movie where, yes, it'll just star the villains, the Sinister Six, fighting off against I don't know who, and maybe this is Sony's weird way of doing an Avengers style build-up where they give each villain their own little movie to then eventually meet up together and work together to fight somebody. The next one even happened just recently with Scoopers, who had been giving us leaked information about Spider-Man No Way Home months before it was released, are saying they want to go ahead and do a solo Spider-Gwen movie, and they would like Emma Stone to star in it. Now that would be genius right there for them to do, and a good way to bring in Andrew Garfield, because throw in whatever multiverse shenanigans you want. The storyline of Gwen Stacy and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man are pretty similar. Andrew in his universe has already lost his Gwen Stacy, the love of his life, and he's just continuing to live on as Spider-Man, while Gwen Stacy in her origin story lost her Peter Parker, who became the Lizard, and then had to continue on her life crime fighting. If they go ahead and meet in a movie where they're alternate versions of the people they love and lost, I think that would make for a really interesting movie. My only concern is Emma Stone is much older, and it feels like Gwen Stacy is another teenage-like character that they might go with a different direction on this one. And jumping off that, those exact same sources also went ahead and let us know that Sony is considering a Black Cat solo movie, and that has actually been rumored and in the works for years, but this time they go ahead and report that Sony want Anna Taylor-Joy to play Black Cat, aka Felicity Harding. And believe it or not, I could actually see a Black Cat movie working, especially with Anna Taylor-Joy, but that would be a character I'd rather than put into Spider-Man 4, as right now seems the perfect opportunity for him to have an off-again, on-again relationship since he just got through a breakup. And with my main issues with the solo villains movie, wondering who are their villains, all you really need to do is a heist film or some mafia boss that Black Cat wants to get back at. Ending us off with the two Spider-Man movies that are a long shot, but fans are demanding heavily: Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield. Ever since Spider-Man No Way Home has come out, almost on the daily, these two movies are trending online, and believe it or not, studios do look at what fans are demanding and what's trending. Pair that up with the amount of money Spider-Man No Way Home went ahead and just made, of course they want these people back, but I call them a long shot and put them in their own category because Amy Pascal, the producer involved with Spider-Man, has gone ahead and said on record that she only has an interest in making Spider-Man movies that star Tom Holland. Essentially meaning Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3 have a slim chance of happening, but if not, with Scoopers confirming that they want them back for multiple projects, it's instead that they're going to go ahead and drop them in the next Marvel Avengers movie, or could put them in as supporting characters in the solo villain spin-off movies that Sony wants to make. Your guess is as good as mine. But that is all the confirmed and rumored Sony Spider-Man universe movies. There is a lot out there, guys. Sony is not going to let the Spider-Man character rest, and it looks like we'll continue to buy tickets for it. So let me know down below which movie you're most excited for, which one you think is just ridiculous and dumb, as well as your thoughts and theories to which movies Tobey and Andrew could pop up in, since it looks like Sony doesn't necessarily want to give them their own solo movies. Anything and everything, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.